Imagine buying a company that loses money every single day. Not 1 crore rupees, not 10 crore rupees, but more than 40 crore rupees every day. Now, imagine spending thousands of crores to fix it, ordering hundreds of new aircraft, hiring world class executives, and still watching the losses grow. Sounds impossible? Well, that's exactly what's happening with Air India. The shocking part is that Air India is no longer a government company. It's owned by Tata, the same Tata Group that built TCS into a global giant. The same Tata Group that revived Jaguar Land Rover when everyone had written it off. Yet, even Tata is struggling to fix Air India. So the question is simple. Is Air India actually broken beyond repair? Or is there a much bigger problem hiding behind the scenes?
We are totally delighted that this process is complete. Very happy to have Air India back in the Tata Group.
To understand this, we need to go back to the moment Tata took over Air India. When Tata acquired the airline, most Indians celebrated. People believed the nightmare was finally over. New management, new aircraft, better service, a fresh beginning. But what looked like a dream takeover soon turned into one of the toughest business turnarounds in Indian history. Because Tata didn't just buy airplanes. They inherited decades of problems, and those problems were far bigger than anyone imagined.
Financial year 2026 as one of Air India's toughest years as well.
Airline accounted for more than three-fourths of the combined losses of Tata's three biggest new businesses.
The loss-making airline facing multiple headwinds in the wake of the Middle East conflict.
And yet, just 4 years later, Air India is losing money faster than ever before. In FY21, when Air India was owned by the Government of India, the airline was losing roughly 19 crore rupees every single day. Today, that number has exploded to 42 crore rupees every day, every sunrise, every sunset. Another 42 crore rupees gone, which raises a very uncomfortable question. How is one of India's most respected business groups struggling to fix an airline they desperately wanted to save? Because this isn't a story about bad management. It's not even a story about aviation. It's a story about what happens when a company inherits decades of problems that money alone cannot solve. And once I started digging into Air India's reports, aircraft orders, supply chains, and industry data, I discovered that Air India isn't fighting one battle, it's fighting four. And every single one of them is threatening.
The first blow came from geopolitics. After tensions between India and Pakistan escalated, Pakistani airspace was close to Indian carriers. At first glance, this sounds like a political issue, but for Air India, it became a financial disaster. Flights that once took the shortest route suddenly had to travel thousands of extra kilometers, more fuel, more crew costs, longer flying hours, lower profitability.
Within months, the impact ran into thousands of crores. But this was only the beginning. The second problem was something passengers experienced directly. You never knew what kind of aircraft you would get. One flight felt premium. The next felt outdated. Customers were paying for a premium experience but receiving a lottery ticket. And in aviation, inconsistency destroys trust. Tata wanted to fix the cabins, the seats, the interiors, the entire passenger experience. But there was a catch. Modern airline seats are not ordinary furniture. They require certifications, safety testing, electronics integration, and complex manufacturing. The suppliers themselves were facing massive delays. As a result, Air India's aircraft upgrade program started falling behind schedule. Then came the biggest challenge of all, new aircraft deliveries. Air India placed one of the largest aircraft orders in aviation history. The plan was simple: replace old planes with modern, fuel efficient aircraft. Within months, the impact ran into thousands of crores. But this was only the beginning. The second problem was sumped, but Airbus and Boeing already had years of backlog. Thousands of aircraft were waiting to be delivered worldwide. In other words, Air India had money to buy aircraft, but there were no aircraft available. And as if that wasn't enough, global supply chains were already under pressure. Engine problems, titanium shortages, manufacturing delays, everything was working against them. But perhaps the toughest challenge wasn't outside the company, it was inside. For decades, Air India operated under a government run system. Processes became slow, maintenance was delayed, talent moved elsewhere. And over time, inefficiencies became deeply embedded into the organization. Tata inherited all of it: the aircraft, the brand, the routes, and the problems. You can buy an airline overnight.
But you cannot rebuild its culture overnight. That's why fixing Air India is not just about buying new planes. It's about rebuilding an entire operating system. And that could take years. However, Tata still has one powerful plan. Instead of competing directly with global giants, Air India wants to transform India into a global aviation hub. Think about what Dubai did for Emirates. Passengers from one country connect through Dubai before flying elsewhere. That strategy created one of the world's most successful airlines. Now Air India wants Delhi, Mumbai, and Bengaluru to play a similar role. If successful, millions of passengers could connect through India instead of foreign hubs. More traffic, more cargo, more revenue, more jobs. And perhaps for the first time, India could build a truly world-class global airline. But whether that dream becomes reality depends on one thing. Can Tata survive long enough to complete the transformation?
The next few years will decide whether Air India becomes India's Emirates or remains India's biggest aviation disappointment. What do you think? Can Tata pull off the impossible, or is Air India simply too broken to fix?